The engine is an atmosphere engine. Steam is completely different. They weren't using Papin's atmosphere pressure on us to do the work. Morey actually invented the Fulton steam engine boat. Through his patents, he misspelled some words or something. He didn't get credit for it, no. And Fulton got credit for it. Fulton's the one that invented the first boat, and actually Morey was the one that invented it. He had this in a 26-foot boat. It develops about 4 horsepower. First internal combustion engine. He was in New Hampshire. With the first steam and gas engines, they used the fuel to evacuate the cylinder, and they used the atmosphere to do the work. Papin covered the atmosphere pressure, 0.7 pounds of air pressure on the block A. Do that around us, pushing the air on there. And so there's an 8-inch bore up here that has, it's like 800 psi of pressure on the cylinder. Yeah, that's the air pressure around us. And so that's what does the work, is the air pressure around the fuel tank. And you see, you put the fuel in here, right here. And there's a bunch of baffles in there. Baffle is little square holes is what was, you know, and they never went to the bottom. The fuel was in the bottom, and this would vaporize the engine, and the vapors would come into this intake valve here, made out of aluminum. And so that was some guys call this the guillotine engine, because it looks like a guillotine. Okay, the intake valve is opening now, and the bellows is pushing air. See the bellows over there? Bellows is right here. The only reason I came up with this was because this went into this cylinder. And this, believe it or not, is the first turbocharged engine in the U.S. Air into the cylinder through a whole bunch of holes that are inside here. That valve closes, and then this one here opens, lets the flame in through that little hole to ignite the charge. The charge goes out through this leather, and it evacuates the cylinder, causing a vacuum in there, and atmosphere pressure pushes down on this cylinder. There's an extra set of, there's another piston within a piston, you know, it's a screen piston that hooks onto these 2 rods here, and they go up, and they close. You hook up water to it.
Okay.
And these both have valves on them. I'll start it up so you can get that.
That's where you would add the water?
Right. The water cools the leather down there, and it also increases the vacuum in it. It sprays water down here to keep the leather cool, and it also increases the vacuum in this cylinder, because when you spray water on the hot air, becomes a vacuum. And I
Oh,
got the
because-
patents from England. Happened to go down to Half Moon Bay. A guy down there that wrote stories for hot air engine. I asked him where he did his work, and he said the patent office in England. You know, and I talked to him and asked him if he ever ran across, you know, Morey's patents to let me know, because the ones in the United States burn up. So he had a patent in England too. Let me get you the patents. These guys were drinkers. And so one of the problems was I spent most of the time studying the patents. Here's one of the problems I had in deciphering. See the number of bolts?
Which one did you settle on after trial and error?
4.
The 4 is what works.
Right, right. C would be the baffles, and A would be a dividing point, and then D would be the inlet.
Oh my gosh. So everything that you have in pencil here, those were just your, all right, let's see, this would make sense, let's try it out.
Right. So I did all these. You know, the wood was 2.5 inch, you know, wood, and it was doweled, and the scale that I had. The tank was heated, and that's what vaporized the fuel. He had a sawmill, and he knew that that turpentine, you know, would burn. And so he burnt alcohol, drinking alcohol, and I used turpentine and alcohol in here, and that's when I burn up, you know, fire burn up this here, and it didn't work. Me and Grandma took it to the Auburn Fair.
Yeah.
And there was all kinds of people stopping by and telling me they were going to, you know, engineers and carburetor people and magneto people, and I never heard from any one of them. But a young gal stopped by, and she said that the leather in those days was animal hide.
Yeah.
In 1826, and so I came home and made these new leathers, and I haven't started it or attempted to. Might make a difference, yeah.
But you don't want to try?
He took it to a fire station in Boston and said that, you know, you could go to a fire with a wagon, you know, showing that you didn't have to use horses to go to a fire, you know. You used this engine, you know, and he jury-rigged some kind of board to sit on. When it went out of the shop at the firehouse, it went across the gutter, and he fell off the board, and he's yelling, "Stop it, stop it," and nobody knew how to stop it. And so it went and it destroyed itself. I studied the Morey, you know, quite a bit, you know, and then and I decided to build it, you know.
And how long do you think it's taken you to get it to run?
12 years.
And you're still looking for the right fuel to ignite.
Right. I had to cast all these cams that are on here. It's aluminum. I do aluminum and brass, yeah.
These are all boxes for to pack your sand in, right? For different casts that you've done?
Yeah, for castings. And here's the sand is right here.
And can you reuse the sand over and over?
Yeah, right. You have to add oil to it. Oil-based sand. And that's a part, 3 parts. Well, nope, up.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, I won't touch them. Did I just contaminate them?
No. Those are halves, see. Pouring spout, and then this is the runners that fill the sand. But you'd put sand over the top of that.
And how hot is the metal for aluminum?
2200 degrees.
So this is your kiln, essentially,
Yeah,
right?
right. And that's a crucible there.
Did you first think, I'd like to build this engine?
Well, I built 2 other engines before this one, 57 and 1872 engine. One was a Bishop and one was a cogwheel. The Bishop was made out of iron, had to make patterns for it. Then what I'm doing is trying to go back in time to build these engines. And there's one more engine before this one. It's 1700, you know. It's a one-time, it's not really an engine, it's like an engine, you know. It explodes and does a little work, but not very much. That's pretty much the story about this engine.